What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Codis. Welcome to the Codis Conversations. As you can see, I just touched down in Tampa. We have a great conversation lined up for y'all today. We're gonna break the ice with somebody who's an icon, a legend, and an educator in the industry. Y'all ready? Let's go. Back then, but you love me now. Welcome to the first installment of Codis Conversations, and today we're breaking the ice with none other than the entrepreneur, influencer, educator, and an icon in the barbering industry, Mr. Chris Bossio. How you doing,
Thanks,
bro?
man. I'm good, man. Appreciate you guys, setting all this up, coming all the way to Tampa to record this podcast. That means a lot to me. And I didn't know this was the first episode.
This is the very first, bro. So you
Dang.
literally breaking the ice right here.
I appreciate that, man. That's dope.
You're going to
That's
set the
what's up.
tone today, man. I want to say I appreciate you for just having us here, hosting us here in the city and in your home, man. So I want to talk about that a little bit, especially like throughout your platform. You know, many people know who you are because you're very consistent on YouTube and following you for many years. So we know a lot about the barbering. You know what I mean? We're not here because we care how good you cut hair. We care about you because of the person you are and what you've built and established in the industry. And I know throughout that, your family has been a huge part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So what advice would you give anybody when it comes to that, adding that to a part of your success, your goals? How do you balance everything that you've been able to accomplish with that?
With family?
With family.
It's difficult, man, because my family kind of happened on accident, but it's something I always wanted. What I mean by that is, we had our first kid. I was 20 years old. I was pretty young, still in the middle of barber school and all that good stuff. But I just wanted to improve on the foundation that my parents gave me, which wasn't. I didn't have the strongest start by any means, but I did have love. My mother was the most amazing human being ever, and she did what she could to instill in our future, the best possible trajectory that she could place us in. And so, with that opportunity, once I found out, that my girlfriend at the time, fiance at the time, was pregnant, I knew right off the rip that I wanted to improve on what my mother laid out for us, and I wanted to. My family tree is everything now, so to me, our future was super super important. I told me and my wife, we sat down and I told her, we got 5 years to really lock in and build something so that our kids have a better start than we did.
Right.
And so it's one of those things, man, where it's motivating in itself, but it's also purpose. I can't imagine not having a seed, to be honest with you, having kids that I can pour into. Like, I like to pour into people, but it hits different when it's your child, when it's your DNA,
100%.
when it's your that's a different type of love that, I hear people all the time say they don't want kids, and not that I feel bad for them, because to each their own. It may not be for everyone, but you don't really know if it's for you unless you've had a kid, bro. It's a different type of love.
Right.
There is no love like it. Like, you see mothers that will go to bat after their kid killed serial killers.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like, you see some crazy. That's a different level of love.
It's like once you have that child, something snaps, and it's like,
Man.
that's everything.
And look, the best thing you can do for your family and your children is become the best person you can become, because that's what you have to give to them. It's not money, it's not finances, it's the best love, it's the best time, it's the best wisdom, it's the best. You got to be the full package. And like, another thing with family tree is, as a Hispanic, as a Latino background, food, dieting, health, man, that's a curse. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
that's a curse. Diabetes is heavy in my family. So we're big in health. We're big in all that stuff. So family, it makes you either meet a standard that's uncomfortable, because you want what's best, not for yourself, but for the people that you love unconditionally. So I think everybody should have a family. I think everybody should. It will bring something out of you didn't even know existed. It's a gift from God, real talk. So,
Right, and with that comes sacrifice.
absolutely.
Right, you build and you build and you work on your own goals, but once you have a family, you realize, like, this isn't my goals anymore. It's our goals. How are we going to accomplish them?
You hit it around the head. That's the ultimate level of love. That's what Jesus Christ defined as love. the ultimate love is, would you die for this person?
Right.
What is the ultimate sacrifice? Your life.
Mm.
And for your children, I'm telling you, you wouldn't even think twice, bro.
100%.
You know what I mean?
It goes back to what you're saying about, especially with the way you grew up and your mother instilling certain things in you.
Yeah.
I'm sure many sacrifices that she made reflected in how you built your family and how you did with
Absolutely.
your children.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
Well, there's that, and there's also the other side, right? Because I know a lot of people don't have the best relationship with their fathers. They might not even know their fathers. You don't want to recreate that. You don't want to reduplicate that. That ain't the success that you want to be a product of. You also have control of that. And so I
Facts.
don't I love my father, but I don't have the best relationship with him. I haven't talked to him in, I don't know, 7 years. You know what I mean? But I can also learn from that and realize, man, I never want to put my kid through something like that. I want to grow old and have my grandchildren and, all that good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. You touched on spirituality
Mhm.
being a part of it, especially referencing Jesus Christ and everything like that. Were you
Yeah.
always heavily spiritual person?
No. Definitely spiritual, but I never understood what it meant. I never even took the time to even seek answers.
Okay.
Like, what is this about? Like, I was always just focused on. I mean, I had an angel watching over me. Maybe it was my grandmother. I don't know, but like, everything's been so good in my life. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and I'm not saying it's perfect. I've definitely gone through trials and tribulations.
Of course.
My mother passed, and I got my issues, but I also know how to count my blessings. And I can tell you, man, I'm blessed beyond words, beyond any imagination I could have had when I was 20 years old.
Word.
But I always felt unhappy, even though I knew I was blessed. I always felt like something was missing, even though I'm like, man, money's good, my family's good, like I'm living the life. Why am I so unhappy? I didn't have a relationship with God. I didn't have something higher, something bigger than me.
Right.
I worshiped myself. I worshiped my family. I didn't worship nothing beyond what's created here in this world. And there's always something bigger. Look at this beautiful place. Look at the architecture. Look at these cameras and the quality, technology, the way that people are their DNA, how unique we are. You know what I mean? The languages we speak. It's a miracle that we're even here conversating.
Facts.
So you gotta have that relationship.
Facts.
Or you're just gonna worship things that are much less. Like, there's guys who worship lust, worship sex, right? Worship the next woman, the next. You know what I mean? There's guys who worship cars and money. Man, what?
Right.
You're telling me all these miracles, this beautiful world we live in. That's what there's got to be something bigger than that. And so I really started, especially when my mother passed, I started asking a lot of spiritual questions, difficult questions I didn't really have time at the time to really seek information or truth on, because I was so focused on, man, I got 5 years.
Right.
I got 5 years from before my kid can remember the struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I was focused on. And seeing that I was still unhappy, how much more do I need? I don't really need. I'm a very humble individual. I don't really need much to be happy. I got everything I need, but the one thing I was missing was faith, was my relationship with God, and that shit has completely changed my life, bro. In the most positive way that I can say it. Like, you gotta have all that stuff. Like, money ain't everything. Love ain't everything. Family ain't everything. You need it all, man. You need a balance of it all. That's
Complete
real
package.
That's a real balance, and God really makes that complete, because if you read the gospel, that's truth. Like, if you're just going based on what social standards are and what people say, like, you're always going to be trying to impress other people, or you're constantly going to be doing things based on what society thinks is positive or not. I don't need that shit, bro. I need a relationship with the Most High, the greatest person that's ever lived, who lived the perfect life. And I could never be as good as him, but shit, I can try to emulate it as much as I can, right? So yeah, that's how I kind of
I appreciate you speaking on that, because a lot of people, I feel like our tendency is to self-serve. Right? We have goals that we want to reach. We have things that we want to build or accomplish, and we get so locked in on that. You talked about having a 5-year plan. And one thing that was interesting about that I heard you saying is you had 5 years until your kids remembered the struggle, or whatever the case is, if you put them in that situation.
Yeah.
Is that what the 5-year plan was based on to begin with?
Yeah, because I can remember things when I was like 5.
Mm,
Before that, it's kind of like blurred. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
and even if I do remember, I didn't necessarily understand it at that time, right? So that's what I just said. You know, if that's my kind of my situation, like guys, I remember the first year we made $1 million on with Tune 45.
Hmm.
You should. I had a 1995 Audi, no AC. My wife had a 2005 or something like that Corolla, bumper coming off. We doing great, but that wasn't the mission. You know, the
Right.
mission is longevity, something
Hmm.
bigger than us as individuals, right? And when you have a stronger mission than yourself, you ain't gonna fall into all those little traps, you know, where people just right away want to spend their money because that's not the mission. And I also think that by following the gospel, by following God, bro, ultimately you're always going to sacrifice for people. You're always going to be loving people
Right.
because you're going to put other people before you. And that's ultimately what I think has made me so successful. To be honest with you, is I've always thought about everybody else first.
Hmm.
I'm the last one to pay myself. I'm the last one to buy myself some sneakers. I'm the last one to do any of that stuff because I've always thought about. First, I thought about my kids and my wife and stuff, but I also thought about my team because they're family too. Like Beam is
Mm,
here. That's my brother, bro. Like he
right.
moved to Tampa from Chicago. Like we
Hmm.
are family. When we do weekend grills and barbecues, we're hanging out together.
Yeah, and
It
I've
ain't
noticed that just being
yeah,
around you guys, even in the short periods that we've had, I'm like, you guys are really, you have genuine connections.
yeah.
Beam and I were talking about this earlier today. At a certain point in your journey, it becomes less about the numbers or the plus and minus, the money
Hmm.
or whatever success people would define that as. It becomes more about the relationships.
Yeah.
Are these genuine? Do these people care about me? And putting others before yourself, that's
Mhm.
like the ultimate show of love, the
Absolutely.
ultimate sacrifice.
Absolutely, bro. Like our kids call each other like that's unc. You know,
Hmm.
I'm unc. You know,
Yeah.
like we don't necessarily have to share the same blood in order to be family.
Nah.
Like we support one another on a heavy basis, and that's the way God wants it. You know.
Right. Family is not what you are, it's what you do, is
Yeah,
what I say.
absolutely.
Right. So we talked about that 5-year plan, and
Hmm.
I want to really zero in on where you were at that very moment. So you said you were in barber school.
Yeah.
You find out you're about to start and have this family. Were you already cutting in a shop at the time?
Heck no, bro. I was lost, man. I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Boston Market. I'd have to wake up at like 4 o'clock because I was doing food prep. So I'd go in
Mm.
there. I'm pulling feathers off of
Yep.
chickens, cleaning them, putting them on the rotisserie thing and all that. And then I'm going in, washing all the dishes, getting the kitchen ready,
Wow.
building out the line and stuff. And then I'd be done by like 8 o'clock. And then by 9 o'clock, I'd be at Arby's
Oh,
because that was my
snap.
second job. So I
Okay.
was working full time at Arby's, part time at Boston Market, and going part time to barber school.
Oh, wow.
So after my shift at Arby's, I went to night school. So I think it was from like 6 to 9:30 that night school would be, or
Hmm.
5:30 to 9:30, something like that, like four
Hmm.
hours. So every night I would go. And
Yeah.
bro, like I used to work the system. I used to clock in, leave, then
Yeah.
come back and
Hey,
clock
we all
out.
did it.
We all
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah. You won a mini, bro.
Yeah, but then they started actually. I didn't realize they were like actually going in and taking those hours away from me.
Oh,
It
snap.
took me 2 years to finish barber school.
Nah.
I had to take a private loan because I went over on my financial
Yep.
aid so that
Yep.
I can actually finish. And they helped me out a lot. They were very they understood, people struggling and
Hmm.
I'm still trying, so they
Yeah.
they gave me a break. Um, but that's what it was like, man. I second guessed it. I almost went to the military. My
Oh, wow.
my wife threatened if I went, she'd leave. I'm like, man, it was rough, man. I hear like people ask me all the time, what do I need to do? Go to barber school, boom, boom. But I got a job, I got kids, man. I had a kid. I had
Hmm.
2 jobs. Going to school, at night.
Hmm.
If you want it, man, anything's possible, bro. It's a sacrifice for a season of your life.
Facts. And I tell people
You
that all the
know?
time. People always ask, what's your best advice for this, that, and the third when you first getting started? One thing I always tell them, because first off, that's a vague question, horrible question.
Yeah.
But one thing I notice a lot of people deal with early on in the game is that
Yeah.
not being all the way in.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something and you're gonna establish yourself in a career or you're trying to make something happen like that, you can't go 50-50. You can't
Yeah.
have one foot in, one foot out. You're
Yep.
never gonna reach the full potential. I'm a big believer in you get out of things what you put in. So if you're trying to be 50% out here and 50% in the shop or 50% in school, you're only gonna reap 50% of the benefits. You need to go all the way. You have to make that sacrifice.
People will, like, a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this. I've always heard, oh, the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. That's complete bullshit, bro. The average millionaire, if you look at Forbes, they focus on one thing, the main thing.
Right.
They poured everything they had into it. It popped off. Then they started buying real estate. Then they started buying other businesses. Then they started creating other sources of income. But you got to be focused on one thing. Give your all to it if you really want to make the type of impact where you can have 7 sources of income. Because if not, all you're doing is diluting yourself, and you think you're growing, but you're really just doing this.
Right. You only have so much energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got to make the main thing, maximize that, and then you can move.
Absolutely. Next thing you know, if you playing that game where you're dipping your toes here, dipping your toes into this and all that, 10 years is going to come by and you're going to be barely better than you were 10 years ago. That's how it works, man. You got to focus on something. Become great at that. Be the best version of yourself you can be doing that one thing. I absolutely agree.
Dope. I agree with that. So at that time, right, before you decided that you were going to go to barber school and you embarked on this, what was your life looking like at that point? Like, what were you about to go to school before this, or, I mean, because
before what?
Before barbering, before the school, before you found out, like, what was, when you were, let's say, 16 years old, what did you think your adulthood was going to look like?
I was going to play basketball.
Like, you was going to hoop and, like, play pro?
Yeah, so like, I was really good when I was younger, to the point where, you know, I was on varsity my freshman year in high school. I was starting varsity my sophomore year. Okay. And I was ineligible my sophomore year, my junior year, and I only got to play my senior year. And I remember my senior year, I was excited. I'm like, this is my first. This is it. This is the only chance I got. Right. And we played in this preseason tournament against teams all over the country. There was a team in New York, team from Indiana, all that stuff, and they were actually scouts. UAB was there. There was a bunch of scouts there. And that preseason tournament, we made it all the way to the finals, and I averaged like 24 points a game in that tournament. And I actually got a few D1 offers from that tournament. And my coach sat me down. I'll never forget it, bro. I almost cried when he told me, because that was my dream. And I didn't think I was gonna make it because my grades were terrible. I was ineligible. This was my first year really playing. They would call me like the silent assassin and shit, because nobody knew who I was. Word. And that's when I really believed I had a shot at this, right? And then I made the paper because I lost all my scholarships because I had a 1.9 GPA because I'm an idiot.
Well, first, before you go any further with that, I low-key want a little rundown of where you got some of these opportunities from. Yeah. Where were some of these scholarships from?
The biggest one that I had was UAB. That was the biggest D1 school that I got. Okay. But aside from that, man, I could have went to some really good schools, right? So like University of Tampa is a school that's $60,000 a year to attend. The school that I ended up going to, my coach's friend from like back in the day or whatever, he was coaching there, and he gave me a scholarship. That school was $40,000 a year. Fire. Full scholarship, like blessed, right? So I had some decent offers between high school and playing AAU ball, but nothing like it would have been if my grades were on point. Because I was regional player of the year, I was conference player of the year, and I was in the Florida All-Star game.
And that's all in your senior year.
All in my senior season. Like, I'm playing against, Nick Kalathis. He was in the NBA. Dominique Jones. These are the players that were in that All-Star game.
Okay, Dominique Jones, I remember.
Yeah. So like I played against high level people, so I could measure myself against that talent and realize, man, I got a shot, even if it's overseas somewhere. Yeah.
And it's not like today where now you could still kind of like finesse and chase it. I got dudes who might. I'm 29. I got dudes who's going to LA Fitness at 6 a.m. Still think they finna go play in the G League. Like, bro, it's time to lock in.
I knew. So I fell out of love with basketball once I started playing college ball because they made it feel like a job. It's not like it is now where you can actually make money playing college ball, right? Like, you had to literally be. If you're from a poor family, you're going to be even poorer in college. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you had nothing. I had no car. I remember I used to wash other teams' jerseys and uniforms to be able to make some extra money on the side. I was poor, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, it's a lot of politics in college, and the coach is constantly telling you, bro, like, hey man, you got to earn your scholarship. Nah, earn your scholarship. Not like, bro, we are poor. We're broke. I'm thinking about surviving and my future and stuff. Like basketball started becoming not so much a priority anymore. You know what I mean? And that's, I had a teammate that was cutting hair in the dorm. And that's when I found barbering.
Okay, so at that point you had not cut any hair
I had
before
not
that.
cut no hair. I was broke as hell. Saw my teammate cutting everybody on campus, making money. And my wife now, who was my girlfriend at the time, she bought me my first pair of clippers. Never forget it.
Shout out to wifey, she put you in the game.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So did he teach you how to cut, your teammate, or you?
Nah, he gave me tips here and there, but no, I would say YouTube taught me.
YouTube.
So
who were you watching?
Donato. I don't know if you remember Donato.
Okay. Yeah.
Al's Millions. Shoot, who else was popping at that time? Because this was before even Jeezy.
Right, so this is like way before my time. I've only been cutting hair like barely 3 years. I came up on you. So anything before you, really not that.
Bro, this is when YouTube videos were like 2 minutes, and then you had to go buy the DVD.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
And you try to learn as much as you can from them 2-minute videos.
Right.
You know what I mean? People weren't putting out full-length tutorials like they're doing now. You used to have to buy them.
And it's looking like they're about to move away from that too, even now.
Hey, probably online academies.
Start dropping these academies and courses.
For sure. Like, you know, a lot of these creators are very underpaid. A lot of people think they make a lot of money, but you really don't. It takes a lot of work to make money creating content, unfortunately. So, you know, guys, if you can support as much as you can, if you enjoy this content, support it, right? But where were we at?
We were talking about college when you first started your hooping, and you learned from your got the game a little bit from your classmate.
From my classmate. So he inspired me like crazy, and it's funny because he actually came to an event that I had in Texas. He's from Dallas.
Oh, word.
So he played. You know, and man, it was crazy seeing him, bro. Like he's a barber now.
That's insane.
He's a full-time barber now.
And it must be crazy from his perspective, seeing what you've done with that pair of clippers, bro, and all that you've built.
He shows so much.
So like super crazy, full circle moment. He's cutting before you even know what's what. And now look what you built.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it kind of in line with that as well, you know, mentorship, right? So that part of learning and having somebody there to guide you. What was your first experience of you having a mentor?
It's tough, man. I wanted mentorship so bad I couldn't find it. Like I wanted a person that would pour into me so bad that would see my potential, my ambition. I remember when I worked at Arby's. You guys remember Eric Thomas? He made I remember literally 12 years ago, I think it was 12 or 13 years ago today. He dropped a video, and the video talked about a guy wanting a mentor. He said, "Cool. Meet me at the beach or whatever at a certain time." He's like, "Why am I meeting you at the beach? Don't worry about it, just come." So the guy comes dressed up. He didn't wear no shorts, is how he explains it. He said, "I brought him to the water. I put his head under the water." And he's like drowning. Yeah. And he's pushing his head under water. And he's drowning the guy. And the guy gets up and he goes, "You got to want success as bad as you want to breathe."
I remember that.
Yeah. That shit. And then when he started, I was locked in from
Bro,
there.
I remember that. Yep. They played that in my high school because I got in trouble, man. I got in-house suspension being stupid. And the in-house teacher was the football coach. And he was like, "I got something to show y'all today." And he showed us that. And we were all like, man, I got to stop playing around.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because like when you want to succeed, as much as you want to breathe, it was called How Bad Do You Want It?
Yeah,
I remember that.
The only person that I knew growing up that had that mentality was Kobe.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was a mentor for a lot of young guys. You know, a lot of people, that's why people cried when Kobe passed away, because he was mentoring people, even if he didn't know how many people he was touching, but he was mentoring young men.
Fact.
And that video, it made me think differently than I've ever thought before, because I grew up in a minority home where racism was a thing, and if you didn't speak English, and if you didn't go get a degree, there was no way you were going to be successful, and there's always going to be somebody trying to hold you down, whatever. This guy was preaching to me that you are in control of what you're in control of. Get better. He talked about in the video, he said, "Listen, you mad at your math grades. I dare you to go hire a tutor. I dare you to focus on math. Like the same way you focus on going to pick up chicks, going to clubs and all that, focus on math, and I bet you'd be the best mathematician you've ever imagined, right? So I'm like, damn, man, this is mentorship. I'm addicted to this information. So I started reading books. I remember Googling how did Jay-Z become successful. And through Jay-Z, I found Warren Buffett. And through Warren Buffett, I'm finding all these books. And then I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so my first real mentorship, it was books and it was YouTube, and it was, even back then, bro, they had podcasts. You had to download them.
I remember that when they had the podcast app and nobody used it.
Nobody used it. I was listening to them.
I was trying to delete that thing to free up space.
Al's Millions used to put audio files on his website. And I used to download the audio files, and on my drives to and from work, I'm listening to it.
Yeah. He
was mentoring me online, right?
Wow.
And then like the first real like physical mentorship that I got was probably Danny Toomdot.
Oh, so wow.
For those of y'all that don't know who he is, like
shout out to him.
Yeah, he's when I met him, he was 32 years old, retired.
And how old were you at the time?
23.
Okay.
23 years old. But it was because of those books that I respected meeting somebody like that and wanting to be of value to that individual, because I know how valuable he could be in return to me. If it wouldn't have been for those books, I wouldn't have respected wisdom and leveraging other people's experiences and stuff. So I'm very grateful for mentorship when I can get it. And now mentorship is more so my network. Like I moved to this area because I know the people that live out here, they got shit going on in their life. Like when I was living back home, I wouldn't want to talk to people because I know nobody got nothing going on in their life.
Right. And I always say this, I never want to be the most successful or the smartest person in the room.
Yep. Absolutely.
I want to learn, I want to grow. I don't want to be doing better than anybody, because then what value are you to me and I to you? You know what I mean? I'd rather be around people who have actually something to offer that I can aspire to.
Absolutely. And that should never stop, man. Even myself at the level I'm at today, 12 years of being a barber, I moved from the burbs to come out here to be around another level of success. Like I'll be talking to random people in the elevator. These people are computer engineers. These people are doctors. These people are real estate investors, wealthy people with a lot of success. And my network has been growing, and like, it's unbelievable. Just by changing the people around you, we can mentor each other. Like, you know something about a certain thing that I don't know.
Right.
That's still a level of mentorship. You know what I mean? So mentorship is definitely, especially if you've not had that in your life, man, go find it, go seek it.
When you meet those people in the elevator, what do you tell them that you do?
Man, that's a great question.
I've always wondered that, because you got your hand in so many different bags.
And I laugh. I laugh every time. So I used to just tell people I'm a barber. Literally used to tell people that. Danny would get mad about it. My wife would get mad about it. Everybody would get mad about it.
But why is that though? You feel like people view the barbering profession a certain way?
I'm very proud of being a barber. I'm very proud of what it's done in my life, and I want to surprise people sometimes. I think that especially if it's more of a longer conversation where it's not an elevator, let's say it's at a cigar lounge, I'll tell them I'm a barber, but I'll tell them, I also own businesses and stuff. And once we get into there, they'll be surprised, like, wow, I didn't know you could be that successful as a barber. And that gives me a lot of joy to do.
Yeah, that's cool. I almost feel like people feel like, some people, like you would say, I'm a barber, and the other dudes would be like, I'm a barber. Like, it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so now back to the question before is like, what would you tell them today? So you're going down the elevator today. This dude says, yo, I'm a software engineer. What do you do?
I tell them, bro, it's complicated. I do a bunch of things, but essentially I started out as a barber, and I just own a bunch of businesses.
Okay, cool.
And depending on what they're doing, I might lead with something differently, right? So like if somebody tells me they own a restaurant, I'm leading with accounting firm. Why? Because I want them to be a client, you know? If somebody tells me they're a doctor, I own 8 barbershops. All over Tampa Bay. Would love for you to come check them out.
Cool.
Right? So it just depends on who I'm speaking to.
That's cool. So you can switch your hat real quick, depending on who it is.
Absolutely.
So continue with the theme of mentorship. What inspired you now to start the 6-Figure Barber Mentorship?
A little bit of boredom at the time. Like I was kind of in I think we started it like around the pandemic, right? I was kind of sitting around, trying to figure out how to add value into, around that time. And I was going live, I feel like every night I was going live. And people really wanted more intimate, more detailed advice. And I'm like, man, I don't have the time for that. But if we do some type of group mentorship, then we can do it. Because probably a year before that, we had done something similar where I partnered with another company who I hired to consult Tomb 45. And we partnered up to help mentor. I wanted to give his services to the barbers, right? For me, it was like 10 grand a month. But I convinced him to package it up to make it, I think it was like $300 a month for barbers I think it was for like 6 months or something like that. Okay. So he was willing to do it, and we had a lot of success from it. We had guys that came out from the time they started, they were working at somebody else's shop, to the time they finished, they had their own shop, they had clientele. It was really, really fulfilling. And
and it was only 6 months.
It was only like 6 months, yeah.
So quick little $1,800 changing dudes' lives.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. It was crazy results, and unfortunately, the guy who I partnered with, he passed away from COVID.
And what's his name? Do you remember?
Let me. So the company name is Matterhorn. Matterhorn. I'm drawing a blank. I feel terrible that I don't remember his name, but Matterhorn Businesses. His kids actually run the company now. They do consulting. Cool. But they're they still want to do stuff with barbershops, but barbers don't want to spend the money for it.
And that's a problem that we got to work on. You know what I mean? We see so much bread, we touch so much bread, and we just want to hold on tight to it. It's like investing in yourself is so much better than trying to learn on your own and making those mistakes on your way. I feel like
here's my thing too. I think that barbers, we got to raise our standard. Like, we don't really see a lot of bread. Like, living around here, bro, like, we have not even tapped the surface with the amount of money that could be made in this industry. It's a huge industry. The guys who make the most money in our industry aren't even barbers. And that's our fault. We don't care. You go to any business classes, any business seminar, any of the expos, and nobody's there, right? But also, we could improve the level of business that we do and the education that we give as far as business, right? So I also think that there's so much meat on the bones that barbers leave. It's incredible. Like, our guys are pushing the boundaries. There's no reason, if you're charging over $30 a cut, there's no reason why you can't be making $150K a year. Like, we're duplicating that shit over and over and over again. And I know in most cities, in most states, y'all are charging more than $30 these days. Bro, I grew up charging 14. I'm on YouTube doing haircuts.
You know what's funny?
Busting my ass charging $14 a cut. Man, what's
funny?
hell?
I'm in my studio. I play Martin every day. That's just like my go-to like comfort show. That's my favorite show ever.
Yeah.
I'm playing Martin in the shop.
I like Fresh Prince better.
Fresh Prince. You know what? I put them on the same tier. One's for the families though, and one's for us. You know what I'm saying? So we watching Martin in the shop. I'm cutting this dude's hair, and Martin has a scene in there where he's in the barber shop.
Yeah.
And the barber goes, "That'll be $7."
Yeah.
And my client looks at me and goes, "You know that wasn't that long ago, right?" I'm like, "Listen, man, times have changed.
Times have changed.
Times have really changed,
bro. Like, if I was charging what you guys are charging, what barbers are charging these days, bro. When I was in my grind, bro, when I got 5 years from my son, bro, I wouldn't leave the shop. I would have been making $250, $300K a year easy, bro. Easily, not even, bro, the reason why I know this is because we have barbers now at our shops. Mo's making he's making 20 grand a month. Jordan's making 20 grand a month.
Man, shout out to Jordan. Every time I talk to him, he like inspires me, bro.
They're killing it, bro.
Yeah.
And they're not the only ones. Fabian, guys you've never even heard of that are not on social media that work at Headlines, clearing $20,000 a month, and they've been doing it for years. Bro, if I could have been making that type of money, bro, when I was cutting like that, man,
economy different,
man. And look, people say that it's more expensive today and all that stuff, but look, bro, 20K now and 20K back then is still a lot of damn money. 100%. There's no reason why somebody can't live on $5 grand a month and invest the other 15. You invest $15,000 a month in 3 years, you'll probably never have to work another day in your life.
And barbers especially, I feel like, are just too afraid, or I don't know what it is, just to invest in their education. They feel like they got the license, they're in the shop, whatever. They're not spending no more money to get better, to increase their knowledge, nothing. Like, what is that, do you think?
I don't know. Like I said, bro, like I tell people all the time, the best investment, and you hear this all the time, it's kind of cliche. The best investment you can make is in yourself. It's not because you're gonna get better skills and be able to make more money because you got a better skill. It's because the more wisdom and experience and information you have, the more valuable you are to the marketplace, to other people. And so like even conversations, look, if I send you a doctor or a lawyer or a CEO or something like that, just because you can cut them up really, really well doesn't mean they're gonna stay in your chair. If they feel like they talking to the dumbest person ever, if they feel like they talking to the most toxic, negative person ever, they not coming back.
It's a fact.
These people don't want to feel like they're in an environment that's uncomfortable for them. You know, if there's nothing in return. So you have to build yourself up to be a better person. Leadership wise, the conversations that you have. This is why fear of God is so important, because it'll keep you focused on what's important. And so in my eyes, man, the best investment I can make is in myself, bro. To this day, I spent a lot of money on stuff. I spent $30,000 on one mentorship last year. On one mentorship last year. You know what grew from that? The reason why I spent that money? Pie accounting. I looked up the best accounting firms, and I found guys who were running amazing accounting firms that were killing it, crazy tax strategies, all that stuff. And I found a guy who was doing mentorships to teach us how to do what he's doing.
Right.
I could try to figure it out myself. It might take 5 years to learn what he's doing. I might mess up a bunch of people's accounts with the accounting firm.
Yeah.
Why not just leverage wisdom and fast track your shit, man?
Exactly.
You know, like society has grown so much. Just the city of Tampa in the last 5 years. People from Tampa who haven't been here in 5 years, they come back, they wouldn't even recognize the place. Did they have to figure out how to build a building, a tower from scratch? No, they hired engineers that already knew how to do it. They leveraged that person's wisdom. I think the best investments you can make early on is not in a 401k, it's not an IRA, it's not the stock market, it's in yourself, man.
Being able to provide value to others is going to take you so much further.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. So being as, you've invested all this time and obviously, let's just keep it stacked, money in your own mentorship, your own knowledge, being able to provide that value, what keeps you disciplined and motivated to keep on doing that?
I think I'm in a place now, bro, where I'm just pouring into people, bro. I really like the routine of my life. I'm not trading time for money no more. I'm not in the shop cutting hair like that no more. I think where I'm most valuable is pouring into my team, right? So we have executive meetings every Wednesday with all of our executives, all of our leaders. We have a CEO at Pie Accounting. Her name's Tabitha, the most wonderful person in the world. If you guys don't know who she is, she's literally the epitome of servant leadership. She's amazing. We have I've been blessed that the right people have come into my life that could be in those leadership positions. And so now where I'm at is just pouring from my cup into others, right? So like I'm looking at my team, especially the people that I love and I know are going to be around and have sacrificed with us around the same time. And I just want to make sure that they're growing as well.
Right.
And so that's my biggest priority. I want to make sure that my teammates are growing. Like I want to make sure Dre's income continues to increase so that he can continue to provide a better life for his family. Because without him, I'm nothing. Without Beam, I'm nothing. Without Danny, I'm nothing. So I just want to make sure that our team is growing, and that's what I'm paying attention to these days.
I love that. We see the W's all the time, right? I think that this is one of the biggest issues with social media and things of that nature is that we always see the good, we always see the success. We don't often see the failures and the lessons that I've learned. So people look up to you, people admire you, and they want to follow in your footsteps to a certain extent. What they don't see maybe sometimes, if they're not paying close attention, is the lessons you've had to learn. Yeah. Do you have any failures or lessons that you had to learn and what you got out of those that you can share with us?
I would say, I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like I've been a really good father, the best father that I could be. But I do have some regrets in that there were things that I was prioritizing because I wasn't focused on the main thing. That took some time away from my kids. It was kind of a necessary thing at the time because I didn't have no mentorship to teach me better. But I would say, man, if you're looking at doing too many things at once for the sake of the future of your family, I would say that the journey matters too. And so if you just focus on the main thing and not a whole bunch of different things, you should have the time to spend more time with your kids, your family, and put the phone down. I'm guilty. I think that's one of my biggest failures is not putting the phone down more. I think another big failure based on not focusing on the main thing is financial losses, big losses.
Okay.
Right? I'm not somebody, I don't care about money as much. To me, money is just a tool. We have a mission, and that's the resource that we use to kind of try to empower that tool. Because I couldn't depend on brands and sponsors and stuff like that, especially at the time that we were building what we were trying to do. But we put our money into stuff that were complete failures. We tried doing a black mask, lost like 30 grand on that. We tried doing a booking app. That was about like $500,000 we lost on that of our cash, of our capital. Nobody else's, you know. We've had 2 barbershops that we had to close down because I wouldn't say it was greed. I would say it's just being overly ambitious. Like we opened the shop like 30 miles out because it was near, it was in St. Pete. Are you familiar with St. Pete Beach and everything? Yeah. So there's a mall out there, and it was the perfect plaza. LA Fitness, the biggest mall in St. Pete, plaza was perfect. But it was 30 miles out. We didn't have any leadership to go over there, and we tried to make it happen. And that cost probably 150 grand worth of capital. I mean, we've burned $1 million throughout this process, right? So those are big failures. But to be honest with you, you gotta be willing to lose that type of money to grow. You have to. Like, so many people are afraid of losing money that they stay stagnant. I've never had an issue with putting some money in, figuring it out. Those are failures, but I learned so much from those processes, right?
Dope. I'm glad you're able to share that with us because sometimes people need to hear that.
Yeah,
it's like they always say, scared money don't make no money. This is literally what they're talking about.
Yep.
If you're not willing to make any sacrifice, how can you expect to gain?
Yeah.
Tune 45, in general, just as a company, is it where it's at today? Is that exactly where you envisioned it? Or is this something that it just kind of grew into?
Man, I thought Tune 45 was going to be shave gels.
That's it.
That's all I thought it was going to be, bro.
Because at first, when you were first making them, you were making them in the crib? That's right.
In the kitchen, yeah.
Wow.
First making them in the kitchen, going to barbershops, having everybody try the gels. Had a bunch of terrible looking gels that men didn't want to use.
Wow.
But then we launched the gel, and we had so much support from our community. Because the YouTube community is different, bro.
It's different. I always say this.
A whole
it's like
level.
Instagram, people cool with you out, you know what I'm saying? YouTube people are like family. Anything you do, they're just going to support you like they know you in real life.
Man, I remember the first show I ever went to when my YouTube started popping was BarberCon. And man, the amount of love, I ain't had nowhere near the following as your Sophies, your A-Rods, your Jeezys, nothing like that. But when I pulled up to BarberCon, the amount of love, you would think I had just as much following as all of them. Because YouTube is a different monster. It's insane. People spend a lot of time on your channel. So it's interesting how that dynamic works. It's harder to build a YouTube channel, but it's definitely worth it if you can touch people's lives. You know what I mean? If you can add value to them. So
for sure. So I know I can't keep you much longer, man. So I just want to run down a few things, get to know you a little bit better. We got some this or that. We got some little questions just to know your mindset on certain things. So first off, we talked hoop earlier, right? I grew up watching Kobe. That's my guy. So we're going to do Mike or Kobe?
You got to go with Mike, man. I love Kobe, but man, Michael Jordan was just different, bro. There's very few people, and I'm not even going to bring up the times, the defense, because I do think that, this might be controversial, but I do think Kobe played against way better competition.
I think Kobe's career, that 20 years he played, was like the peak of the NBA to me.
Bro, people don't realize he was going up against, like, even
people who were like controversially good. Like Latrell Sprewell probably would have averaged 30 in Jordan.
Tough.
In Jordan. You know what I mean?
Tough.
Like
Latrell Sprewell.
and that's somebody people forget about.
Facts.
And Latrell would have probably averaged 35, 40.
Bro, I had his sneakers with the spinners on the side.
Remember the Dadas?
Bro was so cold.
You see what I'm saying? You had Iverson. People forget Steve Francis, Marbury.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a guard-heavy league, and there were still big men. Tim Duncan,
Chris Webber.
Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Webber. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
That T-Mac, that NBA was Reggie Miller.
And it was balanced as far as offense and defense is concerned too. Like now it's very, very offense heavy. And that little 2000s to 2010s, it was like almost equal.
Who was my boy from San Antonio? Bruce Bowens. Remember
my
defensively that boy was different. Tony,
I don't know. He was low-key.
hell yeah, that's what
him
I'm saying.
and Tony Allen.
Ron Artest,
Yeah.
Tony Allen.
Yeah.
You can't tell me defensive guards weren't crazy.
Yeah.
Jordan was getting guarded by John Starks. Like,
Plumbers, mailmen.
you know what I mean? Come on, no offense. But
Yeah,
Michael Jordan, the stuff he did, what he did for the game, how elite he was, how competitive he was. He had the Black Mamba mentality before
it was a thing.
Before it was
For sure.
even a thing.
So now going on that, now that I know how you feel about Mike or LeBron.
I think skill set wise, LeBron.
Okay.
I think legacy wise, I think greater career without a doubt, Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Michael Jordan is the better player. Who would I want? If I started a team today, who would I go with? I gotta go with Jordan.
Really? In today's NBA?
Yeah, I'm going with Jordan.
I think I'm going LeBron.
I
don't know, because LeBron just complete package. You get the playmaking, you get the defense, you get the size, everything.
But this right here,
The mentality.
like everybody's highly skilled in the NBA. Everybody.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing, you just got to be tall and shit, bro. There's 1,000 7-footers.
Yeah, nah, not today.
Right now,
Maybe in the 70s you could get by with that. You just got to be tall.
Bro,
But after the Jordan era, nah.
I had a
that's not
7-footer on my team in college. That boy had no chance of making the NBA, and he was good. He played at Wichita State. He transferred over to our school. Boy can shoot. He can dunk. He can do all that stuff. You're not making it to the league. These are 7-footers that got to play 82 games, do 2-a-days for the most part. Like you got to be a professional.
Right.
So there's 1,000 7-footers right now. There might be 3 in the NBA.
Right.
Think about that, guys.
That's a fact.
Very, very difficult. So skills one thing, but it's not enough.
That's
It's
true.
right
The
here,
mentality
bro.
is important.
Who's the most skilled player that's ever played the game? We just talked about this.
I
In my
would say
opinion,
Kyrie Irving.
I think it's Kyrie Irving. Why is he averaging 5-6 assists a game? He's a point guard. Why? He's one of the best scorers of all time. Has he ever led the NBA in scoring? Has he ever scored more than 25 a game in the season?
Some people just don't have it.
You see what I'm saying?
Some people just don't have it.
Meanwhile, you got guys like Harden averaging 40. D-Wade is not a better
got it.
offensive player than Kyrie, averaged 40 in the playoffs.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, but D-Wade right here, you ain't
Different.
stopping that,
A
man.
dog.
A
So
dog.
I'm going to still go with LeBron just because that's my guy.
Okay.
My generation, you know what I'm saying?
I will say I have so much respect for LeBron because he's probably the most hated basketball player of our
He came up in
generation.
a tough era, man.
In a tough era. People didn't want to see him successful. He's 18, poor as hell.
Hated the kid.
Everybody wanted to see his downfall. They wanted so bad to find dirt on his name. And he's had a 20-year career, beautiful family, high school sweetheart wife.
Right. It almost seems fake.
it
You know what I'm
almost
saying?
seems-
I feel that way with both of them. Like LeBron, from the personal aspect, it just seems too perfect. And Mike, the reason he'll always be the GOAT in a lot of people's book, the career seems fake. It sounds like a fake story.
It do.
2
It
3
do.
peats is crazy. And you took a break in the middle. That's wild.
It do.
Somebody
Yeah.
wrote that. But
Yeah.
moving on, we're going to go music.
Okay.
Right now is a big discussion. So we're going to say Drake or Kendrick.
Man. What, you talking about in the battle or overall?
Overall.
Oh, I'm going Drake, easy. Overall, yeah, easily Drake. Drake is the king of hip hop right now.
I'll say that. He's kind of like LeBron in a way. Just the longevity and the consistency.
The longevity, the number ones, the billboards. Come on, let's keep it a buck.
Numbers don't lie.
If we throwing a party right now, if we getting people together, if we in the car, I'm just not excited to bump.
I've
Kendrick.
never jumped in a set throwing to Kendrick. I don't know. I
ain't gonna lie. Road trips, we can listen to Drake the entire road trip.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And I won't complain once because he got so many different vibes.
And the thing about Drake's albums too is that I might listen to Drake's album and be like, man, this was just all right. But then I listen to it a second time.
It ages like wine, bro.
It keeps getting better, right? Not trying to glaze or nothing like that, but I got to give respect where's this earned. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
he's
Like,
earned it, bro. He's earned it. So now we're gonna go old school, bigger Pac.
Bigger Pac. Damn, this is a tough one. I was born in New York, so Biggie was a big deal, especially in my home and with my family and stuff. But Pac's impact. Pac's impact was
Just on the culture.
on culture.
Not even as a rap artist. People who don't know his music, he's.
culture.
I was reading an article. It was saying that he's one of the most recognizable pop culture figures, like in the history of the world. It's like him, Michael Jackson, and Elvis. And I'm like, dang. And Snoop Dogg.
I feel like he was on a trajectory that was so great he had to be stopped. Like
I feel almost people got mad at me. I said this the other day. Don't cancel me. But he was almost on like Will Smith trajectory. Like how Will Smith went from like platinum selling artist to like the highest paying artist in Hollywood.
great actor.
Yeah, great actor.
Great actor, great musician, the emotion in his music. But so my senior project was on Tupac.
Oh snap! Dope.
So I really got to like dive into his story, you know, his childhood, his upbringing, his relationship with his mother, his mother's upbringing and what she accomplished in her life and what she, you know, where she messed up in her life.
Yeah.
But you can see why Pac was the way that he was, and for him to have the work ethic and just his music, man. Like I don't know, when music can make you cry, you are a hell of an artist, right?
Yeah.
But man, Biggie's flow, Biggie's lyrics, the music videos. People sleep on Biggie's music videos.
The Bad Boy era was crazy.
Biggie was like the first person to drop like $1 million on a music video. Remember the music video with the boats and the helicopters?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was Bad Boys movie before Bad Boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like crazy. So, but I go with Pac. I gotta go with Pac.
You gonna go with Pac, whatever.
I gotta go with Pac.
Okay.
But I love both of them.
I think I'll go Pac too. I'm more a fan of Biggie's music, honestly, because I just like the style better.
Yeah.
But Pac overall, just as an artist and as a person, and his impact on the culture is like unmatched almost.
Yeah.
Especially in such a short period of time.
That's what I was gonna hit on. These guys were 26 years old when they passed.
He didn't even see his peak, bro.
They were 26,
Not even close,
bro. Like not even close, bro.
Right. So the last one. What's a song in your playlist that we'll be surprised to see you listening to?
There's a new one I really like that I love actually. Billie Eilish, "Birds of a Feather."
Oh, that's off the new album, right?
Man, I'm on that song. That song's so good. That song is like a masterpiece in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate what the producers and the engineers do. I appreciate the lyrics, the sound. Like I can appreciate all that stuff. So I think it's a perfect song. Like it's perfection.
All right, so we got his new theme song. He walk out at every barber show.
That's the wedding. That's gonna be the new wedding song. Real
Oh,
talk.
you gonna renew the vows and throw that one on there?
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
We're almost at so my 20-year anniversary. I don't have my phone on, but my 20-year anniversary is next year, I think.
Dope.
So probably gonna do it then.
Fire. Well, congratulations on that as well ahead of time. We appreciate you for having us out here, man. Great conversation. Just a dope individual, man.
Thank you, bro.
And this was amazing, bro. Thank you for breaking the ice. The first episode, bro, of Coldest Conversations with my man, the legend.
I know I was gonna be the first, man. I don't like that. I'm fine.
Put that pressure on you. My man, Chris Bossio. Thank you,
All right,
bro.
man.
Appreciate it.
Coldest, always a pleasure, man. I love what you've been doing. You know, I've been a fan for a while. Like anytime I see somebody doing some dope stuff, I don't care how many followers you have. If it catches my eye and it's dope, man, I'm always gonna give flowers. So, you know, I'm sure I've DM'd you a few times already giving you flowers, but I love what you're doing, man. Keep being creative. Keep you know, sharing your talents and stay motivated, bro. The industry needs you.
Appreciate it, brother.
Likewise, brother.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Coldest Conversations. If you enjoyed that video, here's another one you might like. It's been suggested by YouTube's AI. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as pushing the notification bell so you can be notified every single time we drop.
Yeah, you love me now. I bet it's cause the flow doing numbers now. I bet it is. I bet it's cause I'm